Welcome to Beyond the Caseload, Mission, Laughs, and Life at PPT, where we talk honestly about life in pediatric therapy, the chaos, the laughs, the growth, and the moments that make it all worth it. Your hosts are Regina, a speech-language pathologist and rehab director of West Palm Beach, and Tara, HR director, bringing you real conversations from Beyond the Caseload.
Welcome back to Beyond the Caseload. We're happy to have you back. This is our first episode with just Regina and myself. On our first episode, we introduced ourselves and you met our founder, Amy. And today we're going to talk about a day in the life of a therapist. I guess we'll start at a day in the life of the first day of a therapist.
A lot of questions I get with people who are therapists who want to go into private practice or they've never done it before, they didn't do any clinical rotations is the first question is like, what does it look like? What's your day-to-day look like? One of the reasons I love working in private practice is the variety of kids we get to see and the flexibility in your scheduling. For example, for me, I like to start my day more like at 9, and your first kind of morning kids are like little ones. You get a lot of like under 3. It's really fun. It's a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more slow moving, a lot of play, which is nice. And it's a nice way to start our morning. And then as you get into those afternoon hours is when you get more of your after school kids, a little bit more older kids, the school age kind of setting. Some therapists, they work till 6 or 6:30 and have shorter Fridays. Or some therapists like more of that really sculpted kind of work day of like that 9:30 to 5:30, and they do that Monday through Friday. So there's a lot of kind of variety in that. Something else therapists like to do is work in our community settings. Yes. So they love doing that in the morning because, again, it slows it down. It's a nice break in your day. I get that question a lot with like people who want to do more medical kind of setting, because we do these medical daycares called PPTs, and you get to work with a little bit more medically complex. You get to really exercise that part of your brain with neuro or physical differences in a setting where you're surrounded by nurses. So that's a nice change too.
I get a lot of questions when I'm doing my interviews with candidates. They've never heard of all the settings that we offer. Most private practices, you go to the practice and that's it. Sometimes they'll contract out to maybe a nursery school or something, but we have such a variety of settings that we have available. We have, like you said, the PPEX, which is a medical daycare center, and sometimes they've never even heard of that. And they look at me like, ooh, what is that? I actually had to go to one because I'm not clinical, so I didn't know what it was. And I did go to one, and I was actually really excited once I went there because it was helpful for me to be able to explain it to them, because I thought, oh, it's going to be only medically fragile children at these kind of places, like G-tubes everywhere. It wasn't. And like, a lot of the kids are there because they need a nurse on staff to be able to administer medication if you need it. So there were like so many kids were just kids that maybe have seizures, and so that was eye-opening for me and good for me to explain that to different candidates. And then we also have aquatics, and we have tennis program where we do PT, OT, and speech on the tennis court. Being able to build your day in our practice is a little bit different than at any other private practice. I'm not just bragging. I'm being serious. Like we do offer a variety of settings, which is amazing. On our first day, sometimes they come in and I show them their calendar for the first time and they look like a deer in headlights. I'm going there tomorrow. But then I think that they get excited about it after they go and see you're not alone. So let's talk about after I do my onboarding with them and I teach them how to use the EMR, how to write their first note and review their calendar. And I go, okay, here you go. And I bring them to their room, take them on a tour, and then they go over to your side, the clinical side. What is a first day of somebody like? Yeah, so the first day is definitely a lot of observation training, because no matter if you've been in this field for 2 months because you just passed your test, or you've been in it for 10 years, it's a different setting. It's a different workplace. We do a lot of observation so that you as a therapist can see what someone else is doing. Sometimes the parents are in the room because the child is 1 and the parent needs to be there to really know what we're doing and how they can help at home. And you'll have 2 or 3 kids on your own. Dip your toes in the water. Maybe you've been doing this for
10 years and you're like, I got this. We really try to make it on your own pace because no two therapists are the same.
I think we've gotten a lot better at that. We now meet before the therapists start and we put together a plan. This is a new grad. Give them 2 patients day 1. On day 2, they get 2 patients.
Yep.
Whereas before, we just let the office do their thing. But now we're very strategic because we understand and we listen to what they said to us, because when they come in and I show them their calendar and they would see like a whole day of patients, they would be like
and it's so overwhelming just in general. When you're first starting off, you're still learning the EMR, you're still learning like where's the materials. There's so much like mental gymnastics when you're starting at a new place. You just want to slow down so you can absorb it.
But I think it's also disappointing sometimes if they don't have a kid on their first day. They're like, oh, I've been in all this schooling and I've done all this and now I don't have a kid. I've been looking forward to this for 2 years. I think that the way we do it now is really helpful. Tell me about, I remember there was a microwave story about you. That was one of your notable moments that has followed you from Lake West Palm.
Yes. I like to say I'm the PPT success story. I was a slip bus and so I was an assistant. When I was in grad school, this was my first speech job. One of the cool things about this setting is that you can be really flexible and creative with the way you approach therapy. The story that has followed me is that one of the goals I was working on with a 8-year-old kiddo was to follow multi-step directions. So I thought, what would be fun is to make one of those brownies in a mug where those are multi-step directions and you just throw in the microwave and you do it. And I'm working with the kid, he's following the directions. It's one of the last parts where it's put in the microwave and set the time. And I told the child to put it on 3 minutes. It was supposed to be 30 seconds. And the whole microwave went up in flames and smoke. I've only been here for 2 months. I'm going to get fired. I grab my kiddo. I tell my director, everything's fine. There's no fire, but there's a lot of smoke in the microwave. I took the microwave. It's out of the clinic. Everyone's okay. This is like very classic me to do something like this. Cooking is not my thing. I don't cook. I don't know why I thought this was going to be any easier.
It's like microwave cooking. It's like semi-safe.
Not unless you're Regina. I like telling that story because I was 2 months, maybe 3 months into this job, knew everything, and I wasn't met with, oh, you shouldn't have done that, or don't do that again. It wasn't met with negativity. It was very much, we've all been there. This is so funny. You're okay. Don't worry about it. Now you're learning multi-step directions too. I think that's such a fun story to tell in my growth, right? Like, I've come a long way from burning the microwave down. It's a good way to show our culture and how welcoming we are. There's not this big pressure to be perfect, that you can't make mistakes. You can learn from the mistakes. Right. That's how I want everyone to feel, because we've all been there. We've all been the student. We've all been the new kid on the block. And we've all done things where we're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or I messed that up. It only makes us better.
We're a team, and it's really nice to see everybody come together and see all the things that people do for each other to be that helping hand all the time for each other. There are days where I just text you hi, and you know that this is like an SOS text, and all I have to say is hi, and you're like, okay, what's wrong?
I'm calling right now.
I think that part of our job is amazing, that we all get to be help each other. The day might be hard and long, but at the end of it, you feel like you've really accomplished things. When that kiddo graduates, we have our graduation process. The other day, one of our therapists sent to our marketing team a picture of a graduate, and it's just so rewarding and so nice. At least when those days are long and hard, that a goal was reached.
And I think that's the big theme, as a day in the life of a therapist. What we do is so meaningful to these kids, so impactful to these parents, and it's such a big responsibility. You need to have a team that's so supportive for that, because you're constantly making mental micro decisions every kid, and then you get another kid, and then you're making different decisions. So it's like a mental gymnastics that you're constantly playing. You need a team that's really supportive. You need that mentorship piece. Hey, I saw this kid and I'm not sure which approach to use. Already day one, who you can go to and ask a question, and already know that person is going to be super receptive to helping you and supporting you through that.
And the other piece that doesn't really get talked about enough is making sure that you are completing all your documentation and doing everything timely. Have time for the fun stuff too. So if you do get a cancel, you're utilizing that time. If the parent is in there with you, you say, okay, now we're going to write my note and give the kids something to do. And you do use all those, the time, and we do give doc time, and we use all that time while we're at work because we want our therapists to be happy at home. The goal is to do it at work, not doing it at home. Obviously, it's not going to happen all the time, but that is a really good point. Documentation time in everybody's day. We want everybody to use that because documentation is a huge part of what we do.
It's no one's favorite. No one went to grad school and was like, I can't wait to document for hours. No one says that, so we're all in the same boat. It's one of those things we have to do. No one loves to do it. With our sessions, we tell all of our families those last few minutes are for documentation and for that education piece. You make a good point. That's the time, I know I've said it too, where I say, okay, Mom, I'm gonna watch you do it now. I want you to sit here and do what I was doing. I'm gonna go tap and write my note, give you pointers, and then that parent feels so empowered. Most of us are visual learners. Most of us need to do it to understand it. So often parents come in here and they're so nervous and they think, oh, they're the professionals. No, we're a team. You're a part of our team too in your child's journey. I want to see you do those things so that I know when you go home later, you got this. Like you got this. You're going to be just fine. I'll see you next week and you're going to tell me how great everything went.
You know what I try to tell all the new grads, because I think that they're the ones that are the scaredest. Like having those conversations with the parents is like, every time I've ever been to the doctor recently, they're typing the whole time. Yeah. And we're not doing that. This is the age of technology. I think once they build their confidence up, it's an easier, regular thing to say, okay, we're going to do this now. It's kind of hard at the beginning. Yeah. So is there a piece of advice that you could give them?
One of the tips I always say is if you are nervous about something, say it out loud with the parent. I still do this. I'll say, oh, I'm going to write that down because I'll be in an evaluation and Mom just told me something super important. And I go, oh, hang on, I'm going to write that down. I'll get up and I type it on the computer. But I say it out loud because I want to show that parent that what you just said was so valuable that I have to pause and write this down. Or at the end of the session saying, Mom, this was such a good session. I'm going to write my note now because I want to make sure I got everything down because this was such a great learning moment for everybody. And then the parent understands. The therapists know they're supposed to do it, but they feel like the parent has a different expectation. So how do you squash that? Is communication. You just say out loud, I'm going to write that down. That was really good. Or this was a really good learning moment. I'm going to write this all down so I can document that this happened, or that she did really good on requesting with 3 or more words today. Like, those are the moments, and I think when you say things out loud, it eliminates any nervousness or predisposition or, oh, what is that parent thinking?
And it takes care of them being like, why are you writing instead of treating?
Yeah, you just say out loud, like,
That's a great tip. Thank you, Regina. And thank you all for joining us on our second episode, A Day in the Life of a Therapist, and I hope you learned something really valuable today, and I hope you come back next time.
Thanks for listening to Beyond the Caseload. Before we wrap up, a huge thank you to our sponsor, Galileo for Kids, a science-backed whole-body vibration supporting strength, balance, and meaningful progress in pediatric therapy. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with a colleague or a friend who could use it. And don't forget to follow so you never miss an episode. Until next time, take care of your kids, your caseload, and yourself, because there's always more beyond the caseload.